Alex, I can't imagine playing Arkham Asylum back in the day and thinking, oh, I can't wait for the sequel to this. And then imagining the sort of like how the sequels got just sort of more bloated and bloated and bloated. I know everyone loves Arkham City, but like,
I was gonna say I like Arkham Knight. Like I understand a lot of people were not big on the Batmobile.
Yeah,
but you know,
which they only put in because of popular demand, if I understand rightly.
Well, I think they put it. I think it was one of those things, right, where they wanted to make it feel like a bigger open world.
Yeah,
but I think they were worried that gliding through an entire city was probably going to be a bit much. Which probably was the right call. It is basically a Metroidvania, right? So I think the funny thing about Arkham is a lot like Metroid games. The bigger it got, the more of a problem it became, and just the way that the best Metroid games are the ones that are on one planet or one installation. I still think Arkham Asylum is the best one. For the enclosed structure just helps it, right?
It's the one that it doesn't lose focus, I guess.
Suicide Squad is certainly not. It feels like its only relation to those games really is that it's in the same. Well, is it in the same universe? But it's in the same vein, I guess.
This is like a return to the Arkham universe,
and also it's weird because those other Arkham games, aside from a few references to Lex Luthor, it was sort of like none of the rest of the DC universe existed. And now you've got Wonder Woman and Flash and Superman, all that sort of stuff. So, but you know, hey, the thing is, I like the look of these characters. I like the look of the world. I like the voice acting. I like the character designs. So you know, I've got a lot of time for all that. It's the game bit where when I watched that reveal,
I was just
like, Jesus.
I was looking through some of the YouTube comments that reveal has been getting on the PlayStation YouTube channel, and there's a couple of people like being like, the cutscenes are great, but the rest of it looks terrible. And I think it's that about sums it up, right? It's there's so many things going for this, and like everyone loves like this kind of modern interpretation of Harley Quinn from the films, and the Margot Robbie sort of version. And I don't know, it seems like you've got Rocksteady making this, but it's got all those red flags. It's a live service shooter. They've given Boomerang a gun.
Of course, because that's a hero that doesn't have a projectile-based attack, so you know it's important to give him one.
Well,
for the purposes of the game,
quite right. And like there's so many things about this that are just tiring. Like I think much of the audience is just tired of just shooting at something while numbers spit out of it. Like a big part of that gameplay reveal was them having to take down a massive gun, a massive turret, and basically shooting
big,
like leathern
glowing
bullets into a big purple spot at the back. And it's like, this is your gameplay reveal. Like, don't spend 5 minutes on that. And then it looks incredibly dreary. And because it's Rocksteady, and because people have been desperate for Rocksteady to do more stuff in DC's world, more stuff with different characters and everything. And this is what we get sort of 8 years later. It's very disappointing. And
the shocking thing to me is that this game looks like this and plays the way it does, coming out literally after Avengers came out, flopped, and then closed down. Or is in the process of closing down. I guess Avengers will be finished by 6 months' time, I guess. But because it very much feels like the same idea as Avengers, which is, hey, the service game thing that everyone's into, the Destiny thing, let's do that, but with superheroes. And I think the fundamental misunderstanding of both this and Avengers is the treadmill of content in those sorts of games, of gaining gear and all that sort of crap, sort of goes against the superhero fantasy. And, equipping Harley Quinn with, a new baseball bat or a different set of boots or whatever is a very, very different proposition to Batman finding a new gadget, or him, in the Arkham games, quite often something would be fired from the Batcave, right, and land nearby. You'd order it in, and then you'd have to go and get to it and get it.
Get any munitions dropped like worms.
Yeah, and you'd be like, oh, I've got an enhanced grappling hook or whatever. That's a very different feeling to going into a menu and fucking moving a fake mouse pointer around. And clicking to move gear around. Seeing it made my soul leave my body. Where it was someone had screen capped from inside the footage or whatever when they showed the menus. Some of the text around the gear, and it was like plus 3% suicide strike resource on melee hit.
Just makes you
shield harvesting. An afflicted enemy has a 75% chance of spreading that affliction to all enemies within 10 meters. And my personal favorite, plus 22% melee damage on Batman infused enemies.
That
one's just funny because I saw people saying, shame on Batman, he should have wore a condom, etc., etc. Lots of things, and I saw a lot of people just sort of joking and mocking that. I saw a guy saying, I'm going to be throwing my controller at a wall every time I see an afflicted enemy that's 11 meters away. So that's like the 10-meter radius. But also, the point is, right, that it's just like meaningless stats. I mean, I'm the RPG nerd who owns and runs an RPG-focused website.
Exactly.
This is the stuff I look at where I'm like, if you're going to take anything from the genre, if this is what you're taking and injecting on top of stuff, there's more meaningful RPG level progression in Call of Duty, in the concept of prestige and stuff like that.
There's more meaningful RPG progression in GTA San Andreas. Just getting CJ buffed up is better than whatever this is. I think it's weird. Like over the past sort of 15 years, there has been a massive genre convergence towards everything being some sort of RPG light, and this is its nadir, isn't it? I mean, it's
I just think people are particularly shocked with Avengers and Crystal Dynamics. Crystal, obviously, great studio, and their Tomb Raider reboots were great. But I think also they didn't have any pedigree in superhero games. They didn't have any pedigree in the style of. There's no relationship apart from, I guess, the Black Widow between what Lara Croft does and what the Avengers do. So there wasn't that level of expectation. But these guys are the superhero genre guys. We wouldn't be in a world where Avengers probably even existed in the form that it exists in without Arkham Asylum. Which, of course, remember when the first Arkham Asylum game was released, in that particular case, Square Enix owned a large portion of Rocksteady, and then after how successful Arkham was, IDOS, Square Enix, and then after that, Warner Brothers swept in and were like, we're going to take this whole studio, thank you very much. But these are the superhero guys, and so people had high hopes. And I remember the rumors before this was announced of, they're going to be working on a Superman game, which I think also would have been a mistake. I don't think Superman's a good character for video games.
I think he's crap for anything other than comics, to be honest. But
he's too powerful is the problem. But people speculated about what this game was going to be, rather. And even, I mean, I gotta be honest, I heard it was a Suicide Squad game, and I was like, ugh. Because, we've had one really shitty film with those characters, and one sort of mid film with those characters, with a few good things going on around it. So we've sort of done those characters twice, and it's like Harley has gone from, I remember when Harley hadn't been done in anything except the comics and the cartoons, and everyone was like, we need Harley in more mediums. And then very quickly, we got Arkham Asylum, and then we got the Margot Robbie stuff, and then we got like the Harley Quinn show, which is Kaylee Cuoco from Big Bang Theory, and all that sort of stuff. And now, obviously, we've got Lady Gaga as well. So it's like Harley's everywhere. So I'm sort of tired of Harley as well. Although I'm very interested to see the Lady Gaga one, to be fair. It's sort of, it feels like it's come like 5 years too late. And you never know, the game may be good. And I think Rocksteady's a strong developer, so I think it's got a pretty good chance of being good. I think they're doing some interesting, exciting things. The idea of we're going to do a Suicide Squad game, not that inspired. The idea of we're going to do a Suicide Squad game, but it's all going to be about killing the good characters. You're going to kill Batman. You're going to kill the Flash. is a really, really cool idea.
That is a nice twist as well. And it is all sort of like, how the hell do you kill Flash with a baseball bat? And, you know, you get all those kind of questions come up.
Well, that could be either really good or really stupid. So
well, yeah, exactly. So there are things about it's got the pedigree that it could possibly be good, and there are good things about it. So like we're certainly not writing it off or anything, but like aside from the live service stuff, the one big red flag for me is that there's not really a single player. It's like it's 4-player co-op, or you've got 3 bots. Like
I saw someone say, and it's quite a sad thing to think about, but if this game were to go the way of Avengers and get switched off, and they didn't, at least with Avengers, to be fair, to their credit, it's set up in such a way where you can play the campaign offline. And actually, once that game's dead and buried, like, I recommend people pick that game up when inevitably it's being fire sold for a couple of quid, a couple of dollars in the coming months, because the story mode is quite nice. And their last act is going to be to issue a patch that basically makes all the cosmetic shit free, and then you can just play through that story mode.
Yeah. That first chapter, the intro chapter with Ms. Marvel and stuff, there's some really good stuff in there. Like
there's some good stuff all the way through. There's some good stuff all the way through that game. But my point is if they don't do anything like that with this game, especially because the online hooks in this are even more embedded than Avengers. You literally can't play it without an internet connection. Someone pointed out that if this game isn't successful and gets shut down, Kevin Conroy's last performance as Batman will just disappear to some degree. Obviously, there'll be video clips of it and stuff like that. And I'm sure there'll be hackers and pirates who work to make it work. But the point is, that could be lost forever in a legitimate form. If the game was to get shut off, which it probably will get shut off eventually, because none of these servers can last forever. So, I mean, that's a wider can of worms and a wider thing about the industry, right? That's a problem. But I think the bigger problem is just they've got to be, and I feel bad for them, because I think Rocksteady is a great studio. There's lots of really talented people there. I know some people there. And I think it's probably fair to assume that this has had a difficult development, to say the least. It hasn't taken like 7-8 years for no reason.
I mean, how do you follow the Arkham trilogy? There's a creative side of that, and then there's the other sort of like, this is shareholder driven, you know? So,
well, I think, you know, it's that thing of like, right, what's popular? The Destiny thing is popular, but the problem is it takes you so long to build the game, iterate on the game, do everything that needs to be done, that by the time the time comes to start showing the game, the world has moved on a little bit. Even Destiny is quite differently structured now to how it was then. It's a really difficult, awful position for them to be in, and I think they must be bricking it a little bit, because the response has not been like a little bit negative. It's been like terrible across the board. The response, it's like people hate this. It's been pretty brutal. Like I just loading up like IGN's re-upload of the trailer, because obviously they always get some of the most views on their re-uploads, and they've got like 350,000 views on that, but they've only got under 9,000 likes.
Yeah,
from 350,000, and the comments are just
just wall-to-wall abuse, is it? Or
one of the top comment is some wanker complaining about how good the person playing is, which it's one of the developers, so shut the fuck up. But like the second comment down is like someone saying, "Tell me about Deadshot. He's a professional marksman using a variety of firearms. Great. What about King Shark, Harley Quinn, and Captain Boomerang? They're also that." And there's another guy saying, and I think this sort of sums it up, like not a sarcastic comment, not a mean comment, just like someone disappointed. He just says, "My excitement went from a 10 out of 10 to a 4 out of 10 after watching this," which is just brutal. And I think that, combined with the fact that this is a Suicide Squad game and it's not a Batman game or a Superman game or whatever, I think it's a good job that Warner Brothers have just had a massive hit in another franchise game, because I got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, I've got. Yeah, I think how I've been feeling about it is I don't expect to enjoy this game at all. It's got so many things, so many red flags that just put me off. But yeah, I really feel for that studio, because I don't feel like I'm speculating massively here. I don't know anyone at the studio. But I just feel like it's not the sort of game that they would have necessarily made had all these decisions been creative.
I think anyone can tell. There's been a decent amount of turnover there. You can tell because you hear a lot about studios saying, "Oh, such and such is joining," who worked at Rocksteady on Arkham. I was quite surprised. Blessing and Kind of Funny had a great video, just recently for the end of Black History Month, where he talks about black hair in games and how character creators never have good black hair options. And he interviewed the guy who designed Deadshot for this game, who's a black dude and has pretty good hair. And that guy's at Naughty Dog now. That was something I learned from that video. I was like, oh, he didn't even make it to the end of production. He designed one of the main characters and he's out. He's gone to Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say, right? But it definitely feels. You can see there's a lot of love in it, and like the vision of the city. I don't even know. Is it in Metropolis? Is it in Arkham? I don't know.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah. But the city looks cool and all that sort of stuff. But this problem, where the characters almost aren't the characters in this game, in terms of their abilities and stuff. King Shark in particular feels like such a missed, like.
I kind of feel like they might as well have made it so that you're just playing a team of Marines, but that's a whole other franchise. But yeah, so in summary, it's just a bit disappointing, especially from that studio, because we know it's not as you say, it's not a Crystal Dynamics situation whether they're moving into something that's entirely new territory for them. Like Rocksteady are synonymous with making good superhero games, and this looks, I'm sorry, but it looks like a bit of a crap one.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Maybe they're going to sell and maybe people will play it, but I think you make a game like this with the hope, the intention being that people are going to play it for months and years and keep coming back, and I just don't see that in what... Yeah, I just don't see that.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's that much variety in it's just. But then again, I think Destiny is piss and people love that. So,
but this is the thing. Destiny was the vanguard of that whole genre, and I think the thing is, unless you're the only way to get in on that now is to make a truly exceptional version of that brings something new to the table. And if you don't, I think you just sort of are gonna. So like Wild Hearts that EA have just done. Wild Hearts is fine, but God, they did that interview with Dom, right, where Dom said, "What's the goal for a year?" And they said, when people talk about hunting action, they're talking about Wild Hearts and not Monster Hunter. And I was like, fellas, unless you've done something significant, that ain't gonna happen. And they haven't done something significant. It's fine. It's a good game, Wild Hearts, but it ain't blowing the doors off. And people are almost using it as a stopgap to the next Monster Hunter update, and I wonder if that might happen a bit with this, where people play this for a little bit and then go back to Destiny.
Yeah,
which happens a lot in the MMO space too, right? Like a lot of the lesser MMOs, people will go to them in between WoW or Final Fantasy 14 expansions, basically.
Yeah,
but they're never the main game.
Yeah. Well, Outriders was basically like a bit of a Destiny holdover for Destiny fans, right? Stuff like that. So
yeah, Outriders. I mean, that was a funny, interesting one because it's like it had a little bit of that Mass Effect sort of feel in it in terms of the way it played as well.
Yeah,
Mass Effect / Gears. Obviously, they had Gears lineage. That studio, but that's a perfect example, right? Where in their financial results or whatever, People Can Fly basically didn't make any money on that game because they didn't sell enough copies to trigger the clause in the contract with Square Enix where they finally got a kickback. Which says it all, really, about where this genre's at. And I don't think being a Justice League Suicide Squad game changes that. I think people are just going to be thinking, why couldn't they make an Arkham game, or why couldn't they make... The funny thing, this is the funny thing about DC, though, actually, as well. where people always talk about a Superman game. Like I said, I don't think Superman is a good video game character, and I think Rocksteady probably identified that.
Yeah.
And I don't know who else you do. Short of rebooting Batman, I guess they could do Batman Beyond if they wanted to do a different feeling.
Yeah,
Batman.
I mean, that would have been amazing, but yeah.
Yeah, but short of rebooting Batman, I don't know what DC characters you could potentially do. I mean, I think the Flash is hard to do in video games.
I mean, you got Arrow, Arrow's basically Batman with a fucking bow, right?
Yeah, but Arrow's just crap. No one cares about Arrow. Like, you know.
You can't do a Flash video game because he's too quick. You can't load the geometry in quick enough.
Yeah, Flash has the Sonic problem where you would end up with like a half-baked world. Yeah, You know, Superman is difficult, like I say. Wonder Woman, they're doing, and I think they've actually given that to the right studio anyway, because that's being done by the Lord of the Rings, the Monolith.
Okay. Well, that makes sense, actually. Yeah.
But what else do you have? Like, I'm literally looking at a list now, and I'm like, well,
I reckon they should do a King Shark game that's basically Rocky. It's just a fighting game. All right.
Wasn't he voiced by Stallone as well?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so did a bit of a disappointment, but I mean that's just where the genre's at these days. But hopefully, there'll be something to it because one of us is definitely going to have to play it.
Won't be me. It won't be me, I'll tell you that much.
I've been Jim Trinker for VG247, and you should definitely like and subscribe because if you don't, you smell. Check out the website, check out the podcast, check it all out. Check it out like it's Supermarket Sweet, man. I'll speak to you later.